that people wouldn't even believe all the stuff that we were going to talk about today if we did this on April Fool's Day. So welcome. Let's see here. Today, as always, we're going to open up with the disclaimer. You guys have been doing a great job. Keep at it. Everything that we say in these podcasts are ideas and not promises. We don't ever give investment or legal advice. So if we ever say anything that sounds like that, that's not what that is. As long as you guys keep using this content for good and not evil, we'll keep producing it. And if you're still here, you agree to all these things, and we're going to go. So without further ado, we're going to open up going right into subnet 63 Enigma. There's been a lot of question about this in recent times. For the people that were in the stakeholder meetings, they already are very kind of aware of what's going on there. If you weren't, you might be caught off guard by that change. So we're going to talk you through what that is and what that means for us. We're also going to give you some updates on subnet 48, the quantum compute subnet. And we'll talk about some recent events. And usually when we talk about events, I feel like we're talking about like quantum events, but we're going to talk about some BitTensor events too. And then we'll go to the usual community check-in. Okay, so let's dive into it. We'll start off with Enigma. So a lot of people have caught on that things are changing. We changed the name probably around like 10 a.m. Mountain on Monday from Quantum Innovate to Enigma. People got pretty confused. We've had all kinds of questions like, what happened? Did it go away? Are you guys gone? Did the subnet go away? No, that's not what happened. We are here. We have rebranded the subnet for strategic reasons that we're going to talk about in a lot more detail. People have asked about what they have to do with their alpha. If your alpha is in and you want to stay in, you don't have to do a thing. If you don't like what Enigma is, you can always choose not to stay in. We think you're going to like what it is. We think a lot of people are going to like what it is. So we used to operate subnet 63 and subnet 48. 63 was focused on quantum innovation through software advancements, and subnet 48 was a quantum compute subnet. So we used to say 63 was kind of like the ridges of quantum, and 48 was kind of like the shoots of quantum. But when we first split into two subnets, which for technical reasons, there was a very good reason to split it into two subnets. But when we first split into it, people real quickly called us out and said, hey, that's a bad idea. You're going to have too much going on, too much to market, too much to manage. And so after some time operating both of the subnets, we've kind of come to agree. And in fact, where, Const himself is very excited about having quantum on the BitTensor subnet, he also called out in a meeting with me, a number of weeks ago, that from an investment perspective, quantum is probably struggling because the market they can get behind the idea of quantum computers, but once they get behind the idea of investing in quantum computers, you can't give them two options. It's just too much, mental overload for people to go figure out what both of these quantum subnets are and to figure out which one they're going to actually invest in. And so in the interest of bolstering both of the subnets in a way where we can allow for investors to know exactly what they're getting into very easily, and we can still achieve a lot of the original goals that we set off on, we have rebranded and re-strategized subnet 63, and it will be relaunching as Enigma. And so what is Enigma? Actually, real quick, hold on. This didn't even occur to me until like literally right now, Ryan. You remember the Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein letter thing? Wasn't Enigma like one of the controversial words in that? Or is that a different word?
I don't know.
I don't remember either. But I swear this is an apolitical move. but anyway, Enigma. So the key thing with Enigma is that we're focused on breaking technologies today that society depends on so that society can know specifically when they really will be broken and they can build a better tomorrow. You can think about this as like pressure testing, white hat hacking. There's a whole bunch of technologies that the world is freaking out about, including like right now, where quantum computers or other threat vectors are going to threaten that technology, and we're building important parts of society, even like entire financial infrastructure on top of those foundational technologies. And so this isn't going to be like small challenges, this is massive challenges, and they're going to have huge cash prizes associated with them. Now, this is not a quantum first story. This instead becomes much more of a human curiosity story, like how are we doing with these technologies? When will they actually be broken? How soon do I need to worry? But while it's not quantum exclusive, it certainly will be quantum inclusive, in that there's all kinds of problems where like advancing quantum computers are driving, the urgency here. So very soon, anybody who cares about whether RSA or Bitcoin can be broken and when they will be broken and exactly how far people can get on that today, Enigma will be the place that you go to find that out. And kind of jumping ahead in the presentation, I was actually with a cybersecurity, a senior director of a large firm that focuses on cybersecurity, and he was on a panel, earlier that evening, and he sort of said, when D-Day happens, people aren't going to know that it's happened right away, right? Like when D-Day happens, weird things are going to start happening, and people are going to be curious if Q-Day, people will be wondering if Q-Day happened, but they're not going to know it. Our aim is to help people know it and to know it ahead of time so that they can prepare for it. And so what does the subnet portfolio look like then? Well, Subnet 63 is Enigma, and Enigma is this new challenge-based model where we partner with sponsors from industry, and they produce computational problems that are hard to solve, really important, really hard to solve problems. We make small milestones to actually put it into like an achievable range, working towards the ultimate goal of the challenge. These are going to be open to anybody, BitTensor or not. It will all be operated on the BitTensor network, but people will have the option to either run a miner directly on BitTensor, or if they don't want to, we will curate a set of miners and take solutions from the outside community through a web portal and then run it through the BitTensor using miners that we run. This is all decentralized, but this is essentially like a bounty market. In the meantime, quantum compute should thrive in this new ecosystem, because whereas there used to be this important decision, if somebody wants to speculate on quantum, which quantum? Well, now there's only one quantum. And so if people want to speculate on quantum, Subnet 48 is the place to go. Quantum computers are going to revolutionize the world. We're seeing it happen already. And if you want exposure to that, the quantum compute subnet is there. The quantum compute subnet has the only cryptocurrency in the universe that is only mineable by a quantum computer. And the crazy thing is that the side effect of mining all of that is that we end up offering free quantum compute to real users with real quantum problems on Open Quantum. And so the end user of this is real quantum users with real quantum workloads running on real quantum computers. And, I think, in my opinion, this is probably the most differentiated subnet in the entire ecosystem. But when you pair these two together, you have an incredibly powerful system, because Enigma, if it's going to be doing these challenges that are going to require quantum computers, and quantum compute is the compute subnet for quantum, you can just see how the interplay between these two is going to be fire. The initial challenges, which we're announcing today, are going to first be focused on breaking RSA. This will start with a classical challenge, so letting people try to take the classical approach before launching the quantum approach. The reason for that is to sort of set the baseline, like what is the world that people live in before quantum computers. And we'll see that, people can get reasonably high, but that they pretty quickly hit the cap of what's computationally possible. Like RSA is invented because that is very hard to do. The quantum follow-up to that will then allow people to only take a quantum approach. To be honest, that's going to actually start a lot smaller. They'll be breaking much smaller keys, but then we're going to be able to see exactly when that inflection point happens where quantum starts doing things that classical can't. Whether they do that on simulators, whether they do that on quantum computers, right? We'll know exactly what people are capable of. One of the coolest things about this is that the winners open source the solutions. So when somebody wins, we publish how they won. And so the next people can actually go and build off of the prior solution if they choose to. Challenge 2 is going to be about breaking peaked circuits. So peaked circuits are this really cool benchmark. We actually like de-risked that a lot in the original phase of 63. But we're actually partnering with Blue Qubit, who have recently put out a lot of papers on peaked circuits. They are actually tightly associated with Scott Aronson, who was the author of the original peaked circuit paper. What these do is they're designed to be not computable by classical computers and only solvable by quantum computers in a very discretely verifiable way. Now, we showed in the earlier manifestation of 63 that we could solve those up to a certain level with the innovation from the BitTensor ecosystem, but we're going to be working with Blue Qubit to produce ones that are precisely the right level of difficulty so that we can see exactly how good the community can go. And one of the cool things about this is when we first launched 63, a huge amount of time was spent trying to stop people from exploiting. But actually, with peaked circuits, they really do want, like if you can exploit them, like if you can find some weird way around it where you're not actually executing the circuit, but you're still solving it, that's totally in bounds. Like we actually don't care how you solve the peaked circuit. You can try to exploit it and solve it that way if that floats your boat. Those solutions are totally valid.
As long as that solution runs on a validator, right?
Like, as long as that solution runs on a validator. Totally, yeah. So actually, some of the things that aren't in these slides, Ryan, to your point, is this is all happening on chain. This is going to be, I think, the first subnet that utilizes treasury wallets to issue the rewards. So most people that collect miner emission and then give it to winners are not using an on-chain mechanism for that. They're just sending it to a self-custodied wallet, and the subnet operator decides when to issue those, which is really not how that should work. And the validation of it, the entire validation of it, is also happening in the validator ecosystem, which is really cool. And then, now that we've gotten to know BitTensor a little bit better, we've also launched with a revenue model. And so every time a sponsor joins, the sponsor will actually be staking on the subnet as a condition of launching a challenge together. That staking will be at the level of the bounty on their milestones. Now, the milestones still get paid for miner emission, but that will mean, just outside stakers on the network. So they're also incentivized to, make challenges that are really good and drive their investment up. Second, there are submission fees. So these submission fees can either be paid in subnet alpha or in US dollars, which we will then take to purchase the exact amount of alpha associated with that. So creating more positive tokenomics. And then in the event that any of these solutions are particularly novel, well, we said we will release them in open source. They'll be released with a Feral GPL, which is a very viral open source that most companies won't touch. But the submitter also assigns us the ability to license those commercially. And so, yeah, we're super excited. I think it's a great idea. It's going to make a real meaningful impact on the world. Every time somebody solves one of these challenges, we're going to have the opportunity to go out to the media and make a big splash. And if people can't solve these problems, then we can go out to the media and say they can't be solved, and we make a big splash. And so a lot of opportunity to get attention inside and outside of BitTensor. So whereas Qubit Tensor Labs used to be kind of the quantum subnet guys, now we talk about being decentralized deep tech and really focusing on this narrative that innovation comes from everywhere. We don't just want the guys in lab coats. We want the guys in print tees and the dark basements, because we think that they are very often as innovative or more innovative than the PhDs. Yeah, and so now we operate one radical innovation subnet and one quantum compute subnet. And if you are in the innovation subnet and that's where you want it to be, nothing needs to change. It is now called Enigma. And if you are looking for exposure into quantum, we have a quantum subnet for you. The timing of Enigma really couldn't be any better, because I don't know if you guys caught this news, but Google put out a paper just a few days ago that is sort of like one of the first times that they've put out a quantum paper where they said, and we're not going to tell you how we did it, because they're concerned that they've come up with something so groundbreaking that it's really going to be shocking to the industry. So they essentially released a paper that that uses mempool attacks using quantum computers, and they found that they could crack private keys very often in as little as like 9 minutes. But what's crazy about it, and these posts are from Project 11, who's a cool friend of ours in the kind of intersection of quantum and crypto. They found that they could do it with just over 1,400 logical qubits, which is not very many. In fact, and this is specifically to break the elliptical curve encryption on Bitcoin. And what you can see is that like IonQ's roadmap, at least, has them producing 1,600 logical qubits in calendar year 28. And so just like literally a few days ago, people were skeptical that 2030 was going to be the time frame that you had to be on to post quantum cryptography. And now we're pretty convinced that by calendar year 28, it could be in our rear view mirror if IonQ's roadmap holds up and Google's roadmap holds up and the error rates on those qubits are sufficient to do the work. Crazy. So it couldn't be a better time to launch Enigma and, start putting users on it and find out if that's real. Okay, enough about that. Yeah. Oh, actually, this is hilarious. Okay, so yeah, one metaphor, which is probably slightly overkill, is that Enigma is kind of providing like the canary in the coal mine when it comes to encryption. Except obviously we're quantum geeks, so we have to talk about like Schrodinger's canary that is simultaneously dead and alive. But I do think there are going to be a lot of people that are sort of caught flat-footed on this, where they'll be sitting there, holding onto a dead canary, not realizing that the canary has already died. I mean, Bitcoin has a slow governance process as it is, and so many Bitcoin wallets, like self-custodied wallets, are just sitting there. Like people don't touch them. They just believe in Bitcoin, and so they let them sit. And so, yeah, my word of caution would be, don't be the guy with the dead canary in the coal mine thinking everything's safe because it used to be. Oh, website. Hey, actually, so I'm gonna flip screens. I don't usually do this, but SureShot, literally as we were joining, launched the new Qubit Tensor Labs. So yeah, the new QubitTensorLabs.com. On the homepage banner, we'll give you a little bit of a lead up into Enigma. You can go right into it and learn more about what Enigma is, what the prizes are. There will be more coming out soon. In fact, while this is a website, what you don't know is that behind the scenes of this, an entire API stack has been released that will be the system that kind of interoperates with the BitTensor subnet in order to do all of the like prize submission through the website and the payments through the website and stuff like that. So a huge portion of this just got launched. We are going to be able to start now using our validator to start running some, soft tests on production as we become ready. Also, obviously, the new page also highlights Subnet 48, which we're extremely bullish about. We had some of our biggest investors in 48 come out right after we announced at the recent event in San Francisco, announced Enigma, and they came out and said, hey, this is such a great thing for 48 because we're finally going to be able to get the investor attention that we've always thought we could have. And then, yeah, if you are looking for Qubit Tensor Labs live episodes, all of those, including quick access into all the other types of media stuff that we do, will be out on the news and media section, real quickly after we do it. So, yeah, go check out the new site. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, people have been asking for a little revamp, so here it is. Give us some feedback.
Yeah, totally. Good point. Yeah. And nice. Hopefully, fingers crossed, responsive layout. Let us know what you think about the new site. All right, so yeah, that puts us at a place where, things are moving pretty fast. I think some people will look at this and be like, why haven't they done more? Other people will look at this and be like, holy crap, it's about to launch. And, that's the funny thing with quantum. You can be in the superposition of two opposite things, and that's a totally normal state to be in. But Ryan, not to put you on the spot here, but anything on the 63 phase 2 development status you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, I mean we're really close. Really gonna just do a lot of internal testing, I think, over the next few weeks and try to get this thing launched fully. So
Yeah. And this is like, well, this is like a very like, clean implementation, clean solution with Treasury wallets being brand new. And with this idea that like validators are running code submitted by miners and that you have to have consensus in order to have voting power and all of these things, it will actually be one of the more sophisticated subnets out there also. So yeah, definitely a good amount of testing to do to make sure that all the bits are connected. All right. 48 quantum compute. I've been talking too long. Ryan, you want to take a little bit of time?
yeah, sure. We're trying to continually launch new QPUs on the platform, and we now have AQT's IBEX Q1.
All right. Congratulations.
Yeah. Um, added them as a QPU and provider. It's a big co-marketing opportunity for both of us. Opens doors for additional IQT QPUs in the future. Definitely good news for 48 here.
Yeah, cool. And maybe one thing to just give a quick shout out on is, well, we can't guarantee this with all QPU guys. AQT actually did a press release on this. So, you can go onto the vendor's website and actually go find the press release that announces the availability on Open Quantum. We also ran into those guys at APS, a big physics summit here in Denver. And yeah, super cool guys. We got to hang out with them. We got to give them some crap for a few things, and they got to give us some crap for a few things. But yeah, really cool to sort of see the level of professionalism that we're able to build on top of a BitTensor subnet.
Yeah, website enhancements. We've actually done a lot behind the scenes as well in terms of bug fixes, fixing some of the chasm validation and syntax parsing, fixing some receipt URLs when you make purchases, things like that. Just small little things that maybe not everyone notices, but definitely a lot of work going on behind the scenes. And then adding sample chasm files and using OpenChasm official examples here. And then also a big thing here is changing the layout and the structure of some of our pages to provide SEO optimization and being able to make sure that everything could scrape all of the information, knowing that it's free, reduced cost, you could buy credits, what QPUs we offer. It really makes a huge impact in terms of discoverability and marketing for us.
Totally. Yeah. So I was at an event, a BitTensor event earlier this week, and Mog, who is behind Tau Stats, highlighted that like BitTensor subnets really need to be more focused on like traditional marketing and having websites. And a lot of times you'll hear a subnet and then you Google it and you can't even find out who it is. So I'm going to show you a thing real quick, and then we'll kind of jump right back into the content. But on the Open Quantum website, what Ryan was talking about there is so you might think, oh, that's cool. They're talking about the hardware that's on the page. But in reality, all of these things are essentially like specifically designed to be scraped both by web crawlers, but also AI agents to basically discover us as the way to do things. And so these dedicated pages to each of the vendors are very much just to hit all of the right keywords for all of the right search terms and get them very optimized. Also putting out all of these different resources, having robots.txt, having, all of these things have gone a really long way at SEO. And so some of the results of that are on Google, who's my search engine of choice. When you search for free quantum computing, we have hit the top 10, which feels all right. More enhancement to go, but we've hit the top 10, which is great. Actually, what are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're the 7th result for free quantum computing. Very generic. If you search for Open Quantum, this is going to sound small potatoes, but like even at APS, we launched these changes right before APS. at APS, when we would tell people we were Open Quantum, if they Googled Open Quantum, this open-quantum.org, which has been around for a lot longer, does a lot less, was the number one result. And so we'd be like, oh, you have to type openquantum.com, right? No hyphen, right? But now we've taken it over. So we're the number one for Open Quantum. But what's way more exciting is if you search for free IonQ access, the AI overview specifically calls out the Open Quantum platform now. It is literally the number 2 to IonQ's quantum cloud, which is freaking fabulous. When you search for free Rigetti access, same thing. Open Quantum platform. It lists us above Azure, right? So BitTensor before Microsoft. We're also the top 3 search results when you search for that. Like the first one is coverage about us. The second one is a Reddit post about us. The third one is our website. When you search for free IQM access, same story. We're in the description, but we're the top 2 links. Okay. I don't ever use this, but SureShot looked us up on. Do you actually use Yahoo?
I didn't actually type in Yahoo. I actually typed in altavista.com, and I forgot AltaVista was bought by Yahoo. But that was just a joke. I was just like going to it because AltaVista is was one of the big 3 or 4 back 25 years ago in terms of search engines. So but I went there and I was like, oh, let me type in free quantum computing and see what we come up with. And yeah, we're pretty much top spot. So
number 1.
And then,
yeah.
Bing also has, a lot of AI wording at the top with Copilot. It does list free quantum classes first, but then if you actually expand on it, it shows free quantum computer access, Open Quantum. So all of this is getting picked up and being consumed by these search engines and AI bots scraping all this stuff, and we're definitely getting visibility from it. So
yeah, totally awesome.
And it's really not just on the discoverability side of AI, but also we have evidence of users using AI to run and refine their quantum circuits. So that's even more interesting. So
totally agreed. Okay, so I do want to take you through why this is so crazy and so critical, which is a paying user journey. Now, I'm going to take you through a story. This is not like the average user. This is an exceptional story. So don't forecast this into financial results or anything like that. Okay, so we followed a story where a user registers on Open Quantum. They registered on 3/14. They claimed their free credits and began running jobs the same day, and they burned through essentially all of their credits within 24 hours. Oh, within 1 hour, because 1 hour later, they purchased $100 in full credits. We have Stripe integration. You can put a credit card in. You can buy $10, $100. We used to have $1,000. I think we turned that down to $500. And they purchased their first $100 in full credits, started burning through those. They continued experimenting, burned through those $100 in credits, and the total credits that they had purchased within a week and a half was $900 in credits. So with this user, we were able to actually identify, because all of these analytics that we're talking about also route all the SEO stuff that we have was actually predated with analytics that trace the source of people. Did they come from a referral? Did they come organically? Did they come from a campaign that we were running? We're able to track where people come from, and we're able to track how they convert, which buttons they click on the website to turn into a paid user. And what we found is this was actually an organic user. It was not a referral. It was a guy that discovered us, which essentially means that the crappier SEO that we had back then was still enough to get him to discover the website, show up, use his free credits, and put in $900 worth of credit card transactions within 2 weeks. Crazy. Okay, so takeaways. This is an outlier, but this is what's possible. Even if you're a skeptic and you're like, dude, quantum computers don't even work. Well, that doesn't really matter, because people are willing to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to run on them. The other crazy thing is that so we went and we looked up this specific user and found out like where they were employed by because they had registered with a personal email address. And within a week, another person from that organization also signed up and also started running credit card transactions. They didn't use a referral link to get here. They were a direct URL. They didn't even come from SEO. So like obviously somebody at an organization told a coworker at the organization, and now they're putting their credit card in and using it. And this is not a small organization either. So I want to make sure to like respect user privacy, but this is from a Fortune 50 financial institution that these people are coming from. So this is like big users. Like when we try to sell B2B, these are the types of users where it takes 18 months and like the world's ugliest procurement process to get these types of users on board. 100% organic. We did not tell the user that they could pay. We did not send him an email asking him to pay. We didn't solicit him at all. And they spent all of this money. And so these insights are only made possible because of the analytics infrastructure that we had put in place. But with these, we should definitely highlight that automated marketing on our near-term roadmap could start to actually make things like this much more frequently occurring. Because like literally the only way the user would have known that he could have paid us money was by exploring the website and clicking. We have all kinds of users that are running quantum scripts and running out of credits. We can send them a note. Like we can email them and reach out to them and let them know. So yeah, really cool. I don't know, mind blowing to me. I think this is totally fabulous.
I think the two aspects, that even though that was pre some of the SEO changes, SEO does work, discoverability does work. So enhancing that is going to just bring along more users, and then word of mouth of how easy it is to use and enter your credit card and pay and start using quantum compute or using it for free as well is
Totally.
is I think really game changers. So
100%. Yeah. Cool. All right, we're going to keep rolling and get into the softer stuff, events. So we had APS, which is the world's biggest physics summit, and it happened to be in Denver, which is where we're based. So we were thrilled to be there. Oh yeah, fun pictures actually. This is like a social happy hour thing that happened on the side, which was quantum people who were at APS. So we basically filled up Punch Bowl Social down in down Denver with like thousands of quantum people. It was pretty crazy. We had a promotion going on where we were giving away prizes for people that signed up for Open Quantum, and you double your chances by actually running a circuit. We saw hundreds and hundreds of people sign up. We had a giveaway where we gave away Beats headphones, Nintendo Switch, and an iPhone watch. I had the pleasure of being able to give away the iPhone watch in person because I was in the booth when the winner showed up to claim it. This is John Martinez. I had the opportunity. He actually was the guy that inspired Quantum Ring's first paper, and we acknowledged him in it. This was back before he was the famous Nobel Prize winner. He won the most recent Nobel Prize in physics along with his collaborators for some of the work that they did in quantum. And he was at the show. It was great to see him again. And then just to give you a feel for it, this is our booth down here. The Quantum Rings booth. This is Quantum Computing for All. You can't quite see it, but that's a QR code right behind these guys to sign up for Open Quantum, with literally 14,000 physics geeks in the space. It was really crazy. We saw a 33.1 apparently % increase on Open Quantum since APS. So, a good amount of signups. Leading up to APS, we had it was something like 30% of our users were coming from referrals. That number has come down a little bit because so many users signed up directly through APS. But most of the users who signed up were like, oh, I need to tell this group of people about this service. Like people were extremely stoked about it because, it's a very, free quantum compute. It's a very attractive offer. Breakout. Okay, yeah, Breakout. Man, okay, this was crazy. I'm probably never going to do this again, but I had some commitments right before it and some commitments right after it. And so I took a red eye out Sunday night. Well, no. butt crack of dawn, woke up and flew out to San Francisco, did breakout, then had to like run right from breakout. And I did take a red eye to Chicago because we had a quantum event that we had to be at in Chicago, and then took a red eye from Chicago back to my home in Colorado. And I literally didn't even stay at a hotel because there wasn't enough time. So like I had to go like check into an LA Fitness like a homeless person to take a shower in between. But all right, breakout. What a fun event. So we had the opportunity to announce Enigma in front of a room of 140 BitTensor people. This was sort of a place for us to soft launch it, right? Meaning that we didn't make a big announcement to the entire world until we first said it to a bunch of BitTensor people, so that if something was going to blow up in our face, we'd get a preview of it in the room before we did it on the full scale. We didn't have any freakouts. In fact, we had a lot of people coming up and being very excited about this. Both holders of 63 and 48 were in the room. They both were extremely stoked about it. And once we saw that data point and we saw everybody else nodding their heads about why we did it and asking a lot of questions about it, we launched we launched it globally. We did have to make the name change on chain right before we made the announcement in the room. The reason for that was because we didn't want to lose the name, right? Essentially, because in theory, somebody could have jumped us and renamed their subnet. So apologies to anybody who was just watching the chain and saw the name change and didn't have the context. I do wish we could have done that a little bit differently, like locked the name but not changed it until later. But cool things about this were we're also on a panel, and so we had an opportunity to have a lot of constructive conversations, not just about the subnet launch, but about BitTensor in general, with a lot of really smart people. You can see some guys here on. In fact, Siam was moderating. We've got the head of the lead poet there. We've got other subnet operators on the stage. Good group of people, lively arguments. And we even got to meet. I don't know if there are any miners on, but I was surprised. We even found an old miner from 63, Timu, who had left when we suspended the subnet, but I think is kind of starting to hover back around the ecosystem, excited by these fat prizes on 63. So it's really cool to meet people in real life. My takeaways from this, there was actually a takeaways slide, which I have a photo of, but it was like really like kind of neutered. So my takeaways are pretty raw, but there was a lot of talk about sentiment on TauFlow. And I think that if I were to summarize it, the community definitely thinks that TauFlow has been good for Tau, which makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like a one-way door. At least subnet operators and valleys who are big holders of subnets are disincentivized to sell their alpha, which means that they're also disincentivized to sell their Tau, for anybody that would have been taking it out to like US dollars or diversifying. And so, we've actually seen Tau start to make a run again. And I think outside factors have something to do with that, but TauFlow, I do believe, has something to do with that also. There's also a general sentiment that it overall has been bad for subnet operators. In fact, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but like Shoots and Ridges are both at 0% emission, and they have been for a little while. And so, we're starting to see exactly what we had said would play out. And I don't know, it sucks to see it. It's hard, it's hard to see that stuff. I think everybody is being, financially responsible and they can probably weather it. But those are great subnets. And I feel like if they're getting 0% emission, that just shows that there's some cracks. There was also a feeling, which was more quietly expressed, but expressed by a few people, that governance has become a little bit more overly focused on defense instead of offense. And what I mean is, like, there are some bad actors. There are some people that are here just to take emissions. I would call out the subnets, but I don't want to get any backlash. But there are subnets that exist purely to take emissions, and a lot of the governance is focused on trying to stop those people. But we only have so much attention, and it's become a little bit less focused on how to enable subnets to innovate. I think that's really exciting to hear that narrative because, I think there's some truth to that. And once the narratives start, usually change kind of follows. There was also a narrative on the fact that we need to reduce focus on revenue. So in fact, I think it was Mark Jeffries was on stage at his panel and had said that maybe even Const had called him out on, not putting so much focus on revenue. However, there was also an increasing focus on investment, meaning that I think a lot of people used to think emissions were the funding model for subnets, and that in TauFlow at least, you need to probably be thinking a lot more about bringing money into your subnet and also bringing traditional investment into your business to supplement TauFlow or to supplement emissions. One of the things I was really blown away by was when you're in these digital communities, it's sort of like a dangerous place where people are real a-holes a lot of times. But in real life, there were a lot of good people, a lot of smart people, really a significant contrast. There was a lot of very good debate, people weren't shut up. It was I hear your point, but think about this counter argument. It was very civilized, open discourse, exactly what you want for a community to thrive. And ironically, I you would think we would see that online, but it seems to me that online, it's a lot harder to have that. So it was a huge breath of fresh air to me. There was also a very quiet concern that open discourse is not a safe thing in all other forums, which you hate to see that. But overall, the takeaways were great. So then I jumped on a plane, woke up the next morning in Chicago, and Chicago's got this really cool ecosystem. Quantum Rings had spent 22 weeks in last year, essentially, in Chicago. And this is the University of Chicago. This is kind of a 10-minute driving radius. There's a huge amount of cool stuff going on right here on the main university campus. We spent a lot of time down there. We had an office up here in the Dualities headquarters, which is co-located with the Chicago Quantum Exchange. I'm going to talk a little bit about this brand new thing, this green dot, Hyde Park Labs. So Hyde Park Labs is a cool building. It's literally adjacent to the Chicago Quantum Exchange where we had an office. And they've completely built out this building to do advanced infrastructure for science. When we were there in October of 24, it kind of looked like this. It was a bare building, concrete floors, no walls. It was cool to get the tour at that point, but they still had a long way to go. Now it is a freaking beautiful building. Man, Chicago deploys capital well. This crazy juxtaposition between super modern, sleek, hipster office with clean glass walls into labs where people are running around in lab coats doing science. Beautiful, pristine. And they were setting up this quantum computer while we were there. This is a Blue Force. They were a dilution refrigerator guy. Ironically, this was set up on this amenity space. So the quantum floor is actually up here, but they put the quantum computer in the amenity space because it's so freaking cool that they want everybody to be able to see it, right? So definitely an eye towards killer aesthetic. It was really beautiful to be there. I was able to schmooze with the IBM Ventures people a little bit while we were there. Yeah, really, really fun. I met a lot of the new companies. Ryan, I haven't showed you this yet. This was right in front of it. I'm calling this guy Unshore Shot. I don't know if you would. Yeah, there you go. So literally when this guy was walking up, I was like, Ryan is off today. Is he in Chicago?
I stopped wearing carpenter pants in 1998. So
yeah, fair enough. I've never seen you wear a neon orange shirt either. But anyway, yeah, fun trip there. So after checking out that, we went downtown where NIST and the Chicago Quantum Exchange were having a standards workshop for quantum. And the cool thing about that, it was put on by the Chicago Quantum Exchange, but it was hosted by Protiviti, who's actually they're sort of not a big four consulting firm, but sort of the next tier right below them. They have a very large quantum security practice. They were hosting this in their Chicago office. people in the room, to name a few, were IBM, IonQ, NIST, the National Institute for Science and Technology, or Standards and Technology, Standards Science, I don't know, I'll Google it. The Chicago Quantum Exchange, Nationwide Insurance, the head of quantum for the University of Chicago was there, lots of other players. We had essentially a half a day working with those guys on a lot of the hard things that need to be standardized in quantum. And then lastly, we got to schmooze in the evening before catching my flight back to Denver, where I had the opportunity to be on a panel that was sponsored by the Duality program. This was hosted at the Cressa offices, beautiful offices up on, the, I think, 18th floor of a building in downtown Chicago. A lot of the same companies that were at the NIST thing were there, drinking and celebrating with us. We also were joined by people from JP Morgan, Qbraid, MEMQ, a couple other quantum startups, Codex, P33 is sort of like in Chicago / intersection with federal government / intersection with quantum organization, but lots of big players were there, and we had a total blast. It was, I can't believe it's only Thursday today. All right, jumping into community and Q&A. Okay, is there any reason to buy 48? Hell yeah, there's a reason to buy 48. This is not financial advice, but I'm a big believer that the only reason 48 hasn't been to the moon is because people want to invest in quantum, and then we had two options for them. Like, 48 is freaking awesome. It's an enterprise grade system built on BitTensor. And it's built in a way where the miners get huge value for mining the world's only currency that can be mined by quantum computers only. It spills off this side effect of, instead of just spilling off heat and wasting water, it spills off executing real quantum circuits for free for researchers and enthusiasts. We've got capital coming in for people paying for those jobs once they run out of their free credits. And it's a beautiful ecosystem. It's hard to imagine that in a world like that, where quantum is so hot and we're starting to see such broad adoption and starting to get such revenue from it, that isn't going to go bonkers. Somebody posted on Twitter or Discord or something like that a few months ago, the traditional Win Moon. I don't know Win Moon, but I know his cute cousin Soon Moon. And I don't know. I'm convinced that the only thing working against 48, or the biggest thing working against 48, was that we had two quantum subnets. So, not financial advice, but I think it's a good place to be. Let's hear, what was the initial feedback from the panel and audience and breakout when we announced Enigma? Has there been any follow-up with individual post the event? With individuals post event. Things were great. Well received. Again, big holders in 48 were very optimistic about it. Big holders in 63 were very optimistic about it. People from outside of the network were, from outside of our investor network, but inside of BitTensor, were very excited about it. So I think people want to see what we can do. They'll probably want more details on the challenges. But I think it's good. Can somebody please clarify how this relaunch is going to work? I have some alpha token. Should I sell them? Don't sell them. Not financial advice. Sell them if you want to sell them. You don't have to sell them. Everything transitions automatically. New brand, new logo, new way of marketing. Probably a great, there's always I think it's a great time. Not financial.
Yeah, and I think it really opens us up to a larger audience and gets more attention than just quantum specific problems. So
but Bogdan, relaunching here was a name. It was a name change. There's a brand new website that's out describing what it is. The crypto itself does not change. Like, it is the same token. In fact, even this is not what it is, but even in the event that there's a huge change, like somebody goes and sells a subnet to somebody else, your holdings just transfer. Like, if you're in an alpha token, you're in that alpha token until you're not in that alpha token anymore. And in the event that even a subnet gets deregged, which none of ours shouldn't even say those words on on a stream. But even in the event of like a dereg, then it ends up like liquidating your token, and I don't remember if it like puts it back on root or if it, but you know, you don't have to do anything. There's nothing anybody has to do. Everything is safe. If you like the strategy, stay in it. If you don't like the strategy, unstake. But we love the strategy. Q&A. All right. Is there more information to come out about Enigma, and are they ready? Or is this a new timeline? Yeah. I guess that's a multi-layered question. Yeah. So a lot of new information has come out on it. We just put the website out. We just covered some new info here. Obviously, we've got to do a lot of continued marketing on this, and we will. Timeline still on track. The rebrand to Enigma has changed only some small technical things. One of the small technical things is that instead of Open Quantum being where you submit to the challenges, qubittensorlabs.com is going to be where you submit to the challenges. Again, trying to like put this barrier between like the quantum and
yeah. And then also like with Enigma, how we do validation has changed a little bit, because before we would put out these kind of generated problems on the fly, and people would submit answers on the fly as miners to validators, and now the validators will actually be running against new circuits or new there's like a question and answer type of thing, and the code that you publish and submit needs to be able to handle multiple different cases, not just one. So.
Yeah, totally. And I guess just to clarify, so nothing has changed between what we were doing on phase 2. You know, right. like what Ryan just described is what we were doing already for phase 2. So correct. The timelines haven't changed. In fact, all of the like real timeline risk of changing from submitting to Open Quantum to changing to submitting through Qubit Tensor Labs has basically been de-risked because we just launched the new website where behind the scenes it can actually do a lot of that stuff already. Okay, question for the live. Are there any plans to divide and create separate socials? Oh man, this has been such a conversation internally. And we have not locked in on this one yet, but we will have to change something. So the way I'm thinking about this right now, and I'd love your feedback on this, is we think that Enigma could stand a new handle. So imagine a new Enigma Twitter handle that does things very frequently loud. Anything that's going on with Enigma, it's posting it. We already have Open Quantum as a handle. Now that primarily is like vibing towards the quantum community. So it has like a much more professional tone when things are posted to that. It's less frequent because quantum people like updates less frequently than crypto people tend to. And we have Qubit Tensor Labs who posts fairly frequently. So our thought is that with the addition of an Enigma handle, that Qubit Tensor Labs and Open Quantum together can handle 48 related posts, and Enigma can handle 63 related posts. And for really big, really big things, Qubit Tensor Labs would sort of repost them. We would probably go through a period where there's like a transition where in the early days, there's a lot of reposting between them, trying to feed people kind of into the Enigma handle. But this is squishy. We've gone back and forth on these plans. There's a lot of question around, can you just have a company brand, and can the company just do it? Or does that dilute the attention too much? What about your users? How many of your users will transition from following one to following the other? So yeah, if there are people that have strong opinions on that, we'd love to hear it, on Discord or in Telegram. When do you expect to drop more Enigma updates in the socials? Oh man, I hope you're enjoying those. We're trying to do that continuously. Now obviously with this Qubit Tensor Labs Live, there's going to be a lot of snippets from this because we kind of talked a lot about what Enigma was here. So yeah, we'll be doing that continuously, Nova, and that's from now until launch, and that's from launch until forever. More or less. Okay, sentiment. I'm going to admit I haven't even looked at this slide yet, so let's see here. Okay. JB Rings, pumped. I love it. Good hype. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, we got blue. Blue looks like it means good, so I'm going to go through that. The great thing about Bob and team is they listen to feedback. Thank you, Fitz. They watch what's happening in the eco, and that's what's working. I love that. That's actually a huge philosophy of ours, is like move fast, make little mistakes, learn from them as fast as you can, avoid making huge mistakes by making little mistakes. Qubit team, been quiet. Something big brewing. I don't know when that was posted, but we haven't been, like, we were quiet right after APS because I was in Mexico City for cousin's wedding, and I think people thought I was the hype man on the socials because I had posted up a couple of the mysterious things personally. We sort of didn't hand the ball back to the marketing team. So yeah, my bad if that's when you're thinking about, but yeah, good stuff coming out here. Hugest week in 63 history. Thank you, Quaz. I think it is a big week for us. 63 is a dream investment. Love it. And what do we have here? Fits. They said on stakeholders it's going to be slow drip feed launch. True. Stress tested idea with stakeholders. True. Brief prezzo at breakout with name change. True. Then they'll go ham with full launch and marketing. Yeah, that's spot on, Fitz. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, that's right on. Okay, I think the team have been super busy preparing everything for breakout. I expect official. Oh, so I'm guessing a lot of those are sort of in response to the question about us not being enough on socials. All right, let's see here. So, what does the orange mean? 48 needs some love, though. Yeah, 48 needs some love. Now, the truth is, 48 benefits as much as 63 benefits, maybe more, from this change. So, absolutely, we're going to spend some time talking about 63 because that's what we have to sort of support the launch of. But this is going to enable us to basically go and do like clean marketing, clean podcast interviews where we are either talking about 63 or talking about 48, and we can push both of them, as opposed to in the past, we used to have to sort of talk more broadly about the two of them. So yeah, Holden, you're totally right. But 48 is awesome. I think this is going to be bigger for 48, maybe even than it is for 63. So yeah, stick with us. And if we need to say more, let us know. Every day I fight the urge to dump 48 because every day I lose more time. Yeah, okay, it sucks. I don't know who that is. It's nice that they dropped your name actually. Down well over 100 tau. No relief in sight. Since this is a shareholders private channel. Oh, if things are on the private channel, we probably shouldn't post them up here. So sorry about that. I'll talk to our guys. I believe in the team in the future, but in Alpha Land, that's seemingly meaningless. Yeah, I agree with you. I just don't want to lose all my tau believing in a project. I agree. We got to do something. Yeah. So I feel you on that, and we also obviously want that to be successful. We believe it's going to be successful. We believe that the biggest problem to 48 being successful was the dilution of attention. There will also be some big moves that we'll be making on 48 in terms of creative solutions to make like the operation of it even more streamlined in the way that it works with BitTensor. But yeah, stick with us because yeah, we believe in it. Not financial advice. None of this is financial advice. Sorry, my legal team's going to beat me up for saying too much. Okay, logo is very cool. Maybe a little bit too sharp. Yeah, I think Short Shot might agree with you on that. Personally, I'm a fan of logos with vibrant colors, simplicity, easy to recognize, but I'm just one guy. Me too. So especially in like the tech world, people are big on like single color or like two color logos. I totally agree with that. Also, we don't need to print these logos on shirts, right? They're largely digital, which is I think one of the more practical reasons why people do like single colors, to be honest. And this looks very sleek and dark and mysterious. We went through like a lot of different logos before we landed on this one. If you have more thoughts on it, hit us up on them because we'd love to see if there was a creative solution that we missed. But for right now, we're just sticking with like dark, fading into the darkness, sleek, sharp, overly complex. Yeah, well, but we're not, you know, we're always open to other good ideas. And that was it. I should have read the bad ones first and then read all the good ones. So it could have ended on a more positive note.
Yeah, I mean, like, digesting criticism is healthy. We love getting community feedback. We love, trying to course correct any mistakes that we made. We know we're new to the community in the past 12 months still, and we're really looking to harden both these subnets and make them both successful. So,
Yeah. And what I would say too is, you all, if you're here listening to us, you are a partner in this journey with us. And one of the things that really has stood out to me the most since we did the private stakeholders meeting was just how effective the private stakeholders were at dripping, so they heard what the marketing plan was for us to drip little bits, drip little hints, sort of make light allusions to something happening leading up to it happening, and they sort of like carried that torch with us. And so what I would say is, start spreading the word. Like if you're a 48 holder and you are looking to bring more people in because that's going to help the price appreciate, go spread the word that like we're doubling down on quantum. There's now one quantum subnet, and this is the way to go get exposure to quantum computing. Go spread the word that single users are spending thousands of dollars on it. Go spread the word that we're the top search result. Like take the things from here and go help us get those messages out. At the same time, if you're on 63, this is such a critical moment. Like we are going to live through the time when quantum computers break cryptography and when quantum computers break Bitcoin. Spread the word. It's incredible. It's awesome. Like
there's very soon.
Yeah. Maybe too soon. It's funny too, because you were actually probably in a defense company during Y2K, right? Is that right? Yeah.
Yep, I was. Yep.
Like crazy, right? Like, like everybody's like, the world is it's gonna overflow, everything's gonna crash, right? Like I worked for a startup at that time, and like, that was the world was gonna end. But then in the end, everybody came together, everybody did good work, everybody got off of it, but they did it because they knew when it was going to happen. They don't know when Q Day is. Fast forward, I used to run like the central, like essentially like the CTO archetype at a giant company that had GPS in like every single line of business. And we knew that on November 11th, there was going to be this event called the WinRow, the week number rollover, where like GPS was going to break. Like all GPS would stop working if they didn't get firmware updates. And so it was like we had to get thousands of people coordinating from like every country in the world. We had to get resellers out, deploying things out to other customers. They did it, went off without a hitch. We avoided the doomsday, right? But we knew the exact moment that it was going to happen, and so we could rally everybody behind it. That's all we're doing with 63, right? Is we're helping people know when it's going to happen so the world doesn't burn down, right? There's still time.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. Well, hey, we've been too long today. We went a little bit over an hour. Sorry about that in advance, but so much exciting stuff. Thanks for being with us, everybody. And we'll talk again soon.